Hey there, welcome back to Farmcraft. I'm John. This is Large Marge, as you can see. And today, we're working on the thumb. I used this thumb for some tree work previously, and I had a lot of trouble because the bucket teeth reach further than the thumb. So when I would try to grab something, the bucket would end up pushing it past the thumb. And it was not very effective. That thumb is horrible. It's so short. So this thumb's about 46 inches. The bucket from the pivot is 64. Now a friend of mine gave me this thumb, and this one, it's 51.5 to the pivot, 5.5 inches longer. That will help, but I'm not sure that's going to get us all the way. Now my little excavator, the thumb works good. Now this down here is a quick coupler, so basically that's the pivot, and you can see they're basically the same length. In fact, the thumb is just a touch longer. So for picking things up, typically you extend so that the thumb is behind the object you're trying to pick up. So assume there's a log right against the thumb now. And then you curl the bucket into the thumb. Well, if I start curling the bucket, I'm digging. The teeth are so long that it would be digging a hole into the ground. And you can kind of see how if you pick up the bucket so that it's not digging, you end up pushing the object past your thumb. I like the way this one works, but the pivot for the bucket and the thumb are the same. And there's just no way I can do that here. The bucket pivots there and the thumb is up here. So there's a distance between them. So it's not going to function with the exact same geometry. Trying to put the thumb down there would be a mistake, I think. It's kind of hard to know. Like, I like the way this one works. I can extend that thumb all the way out and use it like it's a fixed thumb, and it works great. Of course, it's nice to be able to flip it out of the way. Maybe making this into a hydraulic thumb one day would be something I would do. That is a huge project because it's not plumbed for it. So I'd have to make and run new hardline out there. I'd need a way to control it. Either some kind of bypass valve or a new control valve. I have to tap into the hydraulic system. Obviously, I'd have to put the cylinder on there. That's a tremendous job. Right now, I just want a fixed thumb. This is going to be a big job because this is all big, heavy plate. There's going to be a lot of gouging, a lot of welding, pins, and trying to get this in the right configuration is a little tough. I think at this point, my plan is to just put the new thumb on here, which is going to take some doing. I'm going to have to change the bracket that it's mounted to because the spacing's different. The truck axles that it's pinned on with, I'm going to make some proper pins for that. And it'll be extended out. I'll see how it works. If I want it even longer, I can weld on, another 5 inches of plate onto the end of the thumb and make it work that way. I think that's the most reasonable thing to do. It's the easiest, but it's still going to take a while. I thought using the little excavator would be a quick and easy way to pick this thumb off of there, but you can see once I get hold of it I don't have any room to pick up because I'm hitting the big boom above it. I know an easier way to do it. Well, apparently that's a good place for a black snake to make a nest. You're pretty calm considering you just fell 12 feet. You've heard of CAD. Well, this is plaid, plywood assisted design. I mean, you can see I'm a good bit longer than the old one, but it's still probably not long enough. Oh, that's really close. All right, I think the location of this is good, so I'm going to stick with that. I'm kind of getting analysis paralysis because you can look at this forever and never make up your mind. So that should survive. What I'm going to do so that I can locate it back in the same spot roughly. With the materials I have, this is an 1¼ inch plate. I don't have any of that. In fact, the best plate I have is 1 inch and it's on that thumb. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get out the gouger. I knew I was going to need it, and we're going to take this off. Get to use the gouger. Heck yeah. Actually went a lot deeper than I realized I was trying to go. Too much power. Stop occasionally and check for fires. Yeah, looks pretty good. Take the other side off in both ends, and I bet you I'll just be able to knock that off with a hammer. Man, that's fast. First try. That's freaking amazing. Yeah, I gouged too deep there at the beginning. Got better as I went. That is cool. I love that gouger. Hey guys, I got a pretty exciting announcement. I actually got invited to be a featured creator at Open Sauce this year. That is a YouTuber convention for channels that are STEM-based, science, technology, engineering, math. And I guess I'm on the practical engineering side of things. But there's really big YouTubers there, folks like Smarter Every Day and Electra Boom and Colin Furs. I don't know how I ended up on that list, but I'm going. It's going to be July 19th and 20th, and I think right now I'm scheduled to be on a discussion panel on the 19th. That's Saturday. You know how schedules are, that might change. I'll leave links to it in the description. If you folks on the West Coast want to drop by and say hi, that'd be really cool. Like to see you. I'll be there. I got way too deep there, and a little bit there. So I've been sitting here scratching my head. I want to pad it out some, and I'm sitting here thinking, how do I want to do it? I don't really want to go buying material. If I order steel for this, like if I order some 1-inch plate, I've got to order a sheet or a full stick of plate. Like I could get a 1x8, 20 feet long, which would cost a lot of money. That would cost about $750, but that wouldn't be thick enough. The ears that are on there are 1.25 inches, and if I'm extending them up several inches, I would need thicker, probably at least 1.5 inches. It would need to be 10 inches wide, so a 20-foot stick of 1.5 by 10 inches would cost me about $1,300. I kind of don't want to do that. I kind of want to do this without spending any money. But that's going to mean more work. I mean, if I were to order material, I think the thing to do would be to get something and just make taller ears and have them, you know, stick up to the height that I need. It'd be nice if I could put some thick, heavy strips of something here, come up another couple inches, and then put that back on. So that is mounted 3 inches further out than the old one was. And I want to see how that feels. You just realize when you get into this, it's so much work to be moving these steel plates around, and the last thing you want to do is put it in the wrong place. It's worth doing a little mock-up and trying to get it right. So it could stand to be a little longer than that. All right, so I finally made up my mind. I am going to use this thing, which is really a piece of junk. It's twisted. I don't know if you guys can tell. It's not straight at all. Nobody's going to want that. This thing was welded on there too. And yeah, it's a piece of junk. So it is made of 1-inch plate and 1/2-inch plate, and then those bars. I'm going to use that. I'm going to extend out here probably 3 or 4 inches, and then I suspect once I'm done, I'm going to want to extend the end a little bit. If I don't extend this, then I'm going to have these big long extensions on the end, and I think they'll be weak. They'll be more likely to break in that situation. So I think it's better to do a little here, a little there, and just use this piece of scrap to do it. I really need a work table. I don't have anything that's not like, that can handle something this heavy that's also not going to catch on fire. Is that thing hanging on? So that took a long time, and even though gouging is really fast, when you're gouging a full 4 feet of weld on both sides, that's going to take a long time. So I decided to try a torch on this side. This piece of plate that I'm harvesting is welded right here, so rather than trying to go around that big circular weld, I'm just cutting it off. Well, my inexperience is showing. I did okay here, but here I gouged quite a bit down into the plate. Not gouged, cut. I can probably work around that, but that was stupid. How did I measure that wrong? Idiot. You know, they say measure twice, cut once. Well, I measured once, cut once, and now I get to do a bunch of welding. So I'm going to stick weld this because stick welding gets a lot better penetration in this big heavy material. I'm just going to finish it up with some MIG, so much faster than stick. Don't measure wrong, idiot. Just put some bevels on there on the bench grinder. That nasty area that I tore up is going on the inside. No one will ever know. that it laid in there better. Okay, I'll turn the amps up a little bit. So I'm not very good at stick welding, obviously. I'm much more familiar with MIG, and I still have a lot to learn here. Stick welding penetrates thick material and makes a much stronger weld, so that's what I need to do here. That looks a little better. It's kind of ugly, but it's strong. When you're stick welding, you can really feel it melt into the base metal. That's not going anywhere. Alright, I'm making this thing out of scrap, so you're going to have some ugliness on it, and I could keep working on that, but it's getting kind of ridiculous. Plus, most of that's, I mean all of that's going to get covered up. It's going to be upside down like that against the boom, and then the bracket is going to weld on the top here. So really it's the ends is all you're going to see. And they're good enough. Alright, you're probably starting to see where this is headed now. It's not the prettiest, and that stick sure spatters a lot, but that is not going anywhere, and with a little more work it'll be every bit as strong as I need it to be. All right. Now for flux core, you have to go electrode negative, where solid wire you're electrode positive. So here's positive going down. So I just need to flip these two wires. So I'm dual shield welding here, which means I'm using shielding gas and it also has flux in the wire. And that makes for a stronger, better penetration weld with a MIG welder. That flux core lays in there real nice. I'm pretty happy with that. That looks pretty good. Fill that up and this one will be done. That is a bracket, man. 2 inches, 1.25 inches. Thing is heavy. Ow. That's 2-inch 4140. Pop the breaker. I think that's as good as it's getting. I've still got my flux core in here, but that'll be fine for tacking. I want to get this thing tacked down really well and make sure that this is the pin's still going to work. She tightened up. Broke that thing loose. I'm surprised. Guess we get to try that again. One weld tightens it up. Tough. All right, so I'm going to keep doing one tack at a time. I'm putting really heavy tacks, so once I've got 4 now, and I'm going to get 4 more on each one, I think that will have it. And then when I start welding, I'll weld a little strip, weld a strip, you know, skip around, keep the heat low, keep checking, make sure my pin doesn't lock up on me. If it does, if I check after each weld, I will know that it pulled that way, and you know, then maybe I can put a clamp on it and try to weld it back. Keep that as close as I can get. Now obviously if I had a line bore, that would be the thing to do, is just weld the thing down and then line bore it and make it perfect, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not a stick welder, obviously. I mean, I've got some slag stuck down in there, and I'm at 190 amps on a 5/32 rod. I didn't want to go too high and have it running out. It's gonna hold. I just wish I could make it look a little better. I was hoping to do 2 passes, one in the root and then like a weave pass over top, so maybe I can cover that up and boil that slag out of there. I'll go up on the amps. Let's go up to 200. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is leave the amps the same and preheat. Might just be a matter of my weld cooling too quickly. Yeah, it's definitely better. Bar's still moving well. Lots of undercut there. But all that undercut. Let's go down to 180. She's ugly, but she's also strong. I'll be interested to get comments from you guys. I think I can get better at this. I'm just not sure what I need to do. The good news is that's not going anywhere. Well, that one actually looks decent. Man, preheating made a big difference. That weld actually looks good. Still good. Now, can I get this one welded and still have it reasonably loose? It's locked up on me, so let me go to the other side and hopefully pull that back. Yeah, I got cocky there. I should have done one bead over there and come over here and done another. I just kind of forgot. Not too bad. Still moves with some light taps, so I think I'm okay. All right, that's all the stick welding I'm going to do. Inside here, it really could use another pass, especially there. That was a tough spot for me to reach, but it's pulled a little bit that way, and I don't want to put more with stick at least. I'll do it with my MIG. My little MIG welder will add some strength to this, but the main thing is to make it look presentable. Fill up any undercuts and, you know, just kind of make it look a little better. Man, look at all that spatter I get with that thing. I'll definitely read your all's comments. You guys can teach me how to stick weld. I mean, I can stick things together, but making a stick weld look good with no undercut is not so easy. Yeah, it's really close. And I don't think this is going to pull enough to move it much, so I think we're pretty good. Yeah, I don't think the MIG is adding a whole lot of strength, but it does make it look more presentable. Welding is done. It is starting to rain. I'm going to get this thing covered up. Hopefully it won't rust too bad. I had really hoped to get it welded, cooled, and painted before the rain started, but that's how it goes. All right, let's see how tight we ended up. It's not that bad. I'm not hitting that hard. Huh. I got a nice scratch the whole length there. Yeah, it might just be a matter of sanding those out a little bit. Oh, wow. Sweet. All right, guys. Finished product. Not perfect. Good enough for me. Certainly good enough for who it's for. Don't tell anybody. So usually when I paint something, it looks better. My welds actually look worse. I didn't realize there were so many kind of nooks and stuff in them. But whatever. And that does look kind of silly. It's a little too yellow and very bright compared to the rest of Marge. So this measures, looks like 13 3/8, right on the money. And our thumb measures, uh-oh, huh. I mean, who would have seen that coming? Yeah, actually, I'm just messing with you. I knew that was going to happen, and I have a plan. So this is the machining part of the video. I'm going to make a stepped bushing that is going to fit into here and bring that down to the 2 inches that I need. And it's going to have a shoulder so that it comes out further to make this space between these ears equal the 13 3/8 that I have over there. These are pins used in the railroad industry. I'm not sure exactly where. They might be coupling pins for cars or something. A friend of mine had these and wasn't going to use them for anything, so gave them to me. They're perfect. The only problem is they are induction hardened on the outside, so a little tough to work with in that respect. I may end up having to anneal them. I'm not sure though yet. The hardened layer is kind of like the outer 1/4 inch. The inside is soft, so this is probably 4140, and I need to drill the inside out to 2 inches. One of these is also not long enough to make both of them, unfortunately. it should be deep enough there that now I can just cut with the chop saw. So for annealing steel, you want to get it up to glowing red hot and then just let it cool off slowly, and that'll get it to the softest state that it can be in. Yeah, I got that wrapped in insulation, and we'll let it cool down slowly. Tomorrow it'll be soft. Still 130 degrees. It's the next morning. That's about 60 degrees science. Now before annealing that, I could have turned that with ceramic. I don't have many of those, and it's much harder to do. That wouldn't have turned at all with this cutter. You know, this is just a carbide insert. Alright, here's the boring part. The pin is 2 inches. I'm going to bore this to 2 inches and 50 thou, just to give me some clearance. Basically, I don't want a bunch of slop in it, but especially this being a fixed thumb, it's not that crucial. And, you know, that's almost a 1/16 of an inch. Most likely it'll be tighter than that because it's going to be hard to get everything to line up perfectly. Hopefully I'm leaving enough clearance that assembly won't be a big pain. But, I don't know. You just have to pick something and go with it. That should work. Now I need to bore out this half to match, and that's going to take me a while, but for you it'll be a little different. Last thing I need to do to this now is turn the outside down so that it'll fit inside the thumb, because those bushings in there are 2.5 inches and my pin is 2. So I actually need to turn this much of it. You can see the steady rest is in the way, so what I'm going to do is turn what I can, and then take the steady rest off, put the bell center on, and then I'll turn the rest of it. Possibly could turn it with the center there, but I think I will end up interfering with that. So doesn't have to be perfect, but 2.6 is what I was aiming for. That's it, 2.6 on the money. I can take the steady rest off, put the bell center in, and turn the rest of it down. One bushing done. Alright, now will this thing probably won't just go in. I think I got you on that one. You okay? Quit your belly aching. It's just a tap with a sledgehammer. That's it. Well, that did just what I wanted it to do. It's in there tight enough, and once the thing's assembled, it's all captive. So I don't need to weld or anything. That's fine. That's good to go. My bracket is 13 1/8, so I need the next one to be whatever's left. So let me figure that out. And then I get to make another one of those. For me, that's going to take some time. For you, not so much. There's bushing number 2. So this bushing here, the one that was in the thumb, is actually a little bit loose. You might ask why I didn't just replace them. It's because I don't have any material that big. That's 4 inches. And I don't my steady rest actually won't go up to 4 inches anyway. This is like the max my steady rest could do. So I think I'm just going to weld it. I'll take that bushing out and weld it to this. Yeah, that'll work. Just make sure it stays put. If I weld that right there, yeah, I think that will that'll help me. Some paint on this bare metal just for rust prevention. So we're almost ready to put this thing on there, but before I do, I got to work on this pin a little bit. I use this Tap Magic. It does seem to do better than just regular cutting oil, especially on hard steel like this 4140. Wow, I really thought I cut myself right there on that. It felt like it, but I just smashed it. So that's good. I'll take a good smashing over a cut any day. That'll do. I'm also going to put a light coat of grease on the inside. Again, rust prevention. Well, isn't that special? Yeah, this is going to be tricky. I was getting a little worried that that excavator was gonna drop it before I had the chains on. All right, I'm surprised that worked. All right. So now the big question is hooking up the center, and how is it going to sit? Well, I guess we knew those were going to be different. All right, so the old diagonal support splits on one side to go around something, and then it's a single up there to go in between those. So this one attaches differently. So I would need like a single thick plate on this end and then a big pin to go through. But this is only like maybe 16 inches. And then the thing extends all the way out there. And that's going to have a big mechanical disadvantage with Marge pushing against it. It seems like coming out a little further with the diagonal like it is would be a good thing anyway. So here's the piece of plate that the old one attached to, that's 1.5 inch plate. So I'm going to gouge that off, and we're probably going to have to do some reshaping or something of that. But then I'm going to weld that on in a good spot a little further out on the thumb to help prevent Marge from bending it. Yeah, this pipe is definitely bigger than the ones that it was wrapped around. I think I can fix that. Yeah, I think that's going to work really well. And that's putting it here, which right there is even a little bit past halfway. That'll make that thumb nice and strong. So I'm continuing deconstruction on the old thumb because I need some more material from it. I need a piece of this heavy wall pipe, and I just need a short piece, so I'm going to use one that I already damaged when I was cutting off that mounting plate. Darn it, the thing moved. How did that happen? I had it locked down good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to finish that some other way. You can see the forged side on the left here comes up faster and has a bigger radius to go around that larger pipe when compared to the right side. Actually worked pretty well. You can see before forging that up, it would have not fit the circle at all and been way up. There's a big gap under there. But it's beveled now, and there's no gap. Looking pretty good. I think I just need to do a couple more passes, fill that in, try to fill in these corners, fill that in, and this side will be done. Alright, I am getting a little better adjusting the amperage. You really have to adjust a lot with this. You can't just set it and go, because as you're welding it gets hotter and then the weld is going to start running more, so you got to turn the amperage down or wait until it cools off. It kind of varies, like it'll go well and then suddenly your weld's running out. And this side, not my finest work, but it's strong enough and I learned some things, so we're good. And this is the job that just won't end. All right, my little diagonal support is bent. Both of those ears are bent out, so I need to bend it back, and then I need to make a pin that's not going to allow it to spread out like that. So now I need a pin that's going to go through here and not allow those to expand out. So I'm going to have a shoulder on one side, and the other side I'm going to have a washer and then a bolt go down through. What am I going to make it out of? This is the bolt that broke off in the track adjuster spring mechanism, and that's bigger than I need. So we will turn it down and leave a shoulder. That'll be perfect. That was 100 thousandths cut, which is nice, but it's bird nesting, which is not so nice. So 30 more, and I'm just giving myself 20 clearance, so this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to dial in 30. Should be good. Alright, left hand turning tool, and now I can turn out until I get to a shoulder, which I want to be about 1/2 inch, something like that. Alright, so hopefully I'm not a total moron and I measured right. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. Put a little grease in these holes, more to limit rust than anything. So now I'm going to crank it up and we're going to let the thumb down a little bit until those holes line up. Got two options there. I think I want it to be roughly straight out. So I think the lower hole is going to be the one. The holes are slightly different size, so once I know which hole, I'll make a pin for that. Yeah, with two people, it's pretty easy. You have one person in the machine and you can push that, but me doing it by myself, that's going to be annoying. So I'm just going to use this ratchet strap. So yeah, even lined up with the lower hole, it's not quite square, but it's really close. I think that'll be fine. I suspect I'm going to want to extend the teeth out anyway. And if I do, I'll continue that curve around a little bit, which will essentially make the end of it out here and basically also square with the boom. That's what I'm thinking at this point, but I think for now we just throw a pin in there and see how it feels. Won't fit. So I'm going to do this type of retainer since my bolt didn't want to go in. That's a heck of a lot easier. And will work. That's not going anywhere. The thumb is actually on. We can test this thing out. It is way more usable than the other one was, and I'm kind of on the fence here. I need to use it and see how it goes, because the more I stick it out, the more it could potentially get in the way. This machine is so big, I might be able to just leave the thumb out all the time. I could still dig a hole this deep and the thumb wouldn't interfere at all. Now obviously, if I'm wanting to flip it up out of the way, I'll need to set it up that I can take that pin out, curl the bucket, and put a place up here to anchor this diagonal that will hold it up against the boom and get it out of the way. But I'm just not sure yet that I'm going to want to do that. I'm hoping I'll use this thing like this most of the time. One of the primary things I see myself doing with this is pushing over trees and digging out stumps. And it can dig out a stump just like it is. That's plenty deep. The thumb's not going to get in the way, and then when I need to, I can pick the stump up. I'd like to not have to fiddle with that thumb all the time, moving it here and there and out of the way and this and that. One thing I was thinking though is, rather than doing it the way most people do it with curling the bucket and having another place to put a pin, would be to put a winch up there mounted on the boom, and then I can just run a cable to the end of the thumb and just winch it up, and then I can winch it down and be able to precisely put it back, if that makes any sense. I think that would be easier doing it alone, to have a winch there. Let's go test this thing out. I have just the thing to use it on. It's something that Marge is going to be able to show off her strength and show me that I wished I had this thing a couple years ago when I was working on a certain tree. Remember that guy? This is a huge stump from an old beech tree that I removed a couple years ago, and it was everything I could do just to get it out of my yard and into the woods here. Of course my tractor couldn't lift it, even though it can lift 4,000 pounds. It had no chance of lifting this thing. I ended up getting it onto skids, just barely, and then dragging it across the field and just pushing it into the woods. Look at that! Ha ha ha! This thing absolutely kicked my butt before. Now I play with it. Boy, that thing is still heavy. When I'm reaching all the way out there like that, it has a little trouble lifting it. I get it closer to me, it's easier. If you don't want to get too close, you drop it and it'll land on you. That'd be fun. If I reach it out, if it can tip me. I'm currently sideways, in other words, perpendicular to the tracks. Yeah. Yeah, it just tipped me. And that thing is heavy. Now I'm parallel with the tracks. It can't tip me in this orientation. Excavators, of course, are more stable this way. It is pretty heavy, though. All right, guys, check it out. So, I've often wondered if this heavy lift function actually worked. The lights come on. I've tried it before, but I've never really been able to test it. I guess I could put pressure gauges on the line. So the way that works is it is increasing the PSI output, the pressure output from the pump to the cylinders on the boom, so that it allows it to lift more. And obviously you don't want to do that all the time. It's nice to have it so that it's not going to so easily tip you over. But when the operator is aware they're lifting something very heavy and need to be alert about potentially tipping the machine, they can flip that on and do it. So let's see if it makes any difference here. Because when I have this thing extended all the way out, I'm not able to lift it. So I've got it. Now, can I get it back up? Can I get it up? Can you get it up? Well, I can. Oh, that's it. That's all it can do. So heavy lift. Oh, like it's nothing. That's crazy. Pick it right up. Hope that thing doesn't come back towards me. I was totally unable to move this thing, and now I can pick it up and play with it. That's awesome. What a machine. And if you guys haven't seen that video, this is a huge beech stump from a tree that unfortunately was dying, and I had to cut it down. So I did, and the only thing I could do was drag it over here with my tractor and push it into the woods because it was too big. But now I could potentially put it anywhere I want, but this place is fine. Awesome to know that anything that big I can just easily put where I want now. No big deal. It doesn't like to turn in high speed. A lot of big excavators are that way. That actually worked really well, way better than the other one did. Well guys, I think that's it. That was a successful test of this thumb, and also a nice strength test for Marge. I'll keep an eye and see if there's any evidence of leaks, but nothing so far. Wow. To be able to take that stump, I mean, I hope this gives you a perspective of just how big that stump is. That thing is huge, and I'm sure it must weigh 10,000 pounds. It's got a bunch of dirt stuck to the bottom of it. I mean, playing around with it like it's a toy. Yeah, I don't have any other machine that can even come close to that. I was fully thinking I was going to need to extend these out a little further, and maybe in the future I will, if that becomes something that I'm wanting. But I have a feeling it's going to work just fine like it is, and the more I extend it out, the more likely it is to interfere with digging. So this might actually be the happy medium. As long as I can grab big stuff, you know, I don't need this to grab little bits of brush and things like that. I've got my other machines for that. As long as this will grab a tree, grab a log, and anything big that I need to pick up, then it's perfect. That's what I want. And the less that's sticking out, the less it's going to interfere with me doing other things. Wow, what a machine. There is more to do, and but not a whole lot. And it's all very doable, so we're going to get there very soon. And I actually have a job coming up that Marge is going to shine for. In fact, doing something that basically no other machine on my farm can do. Really excited about that, and looking forward to getting some work done with this old girl. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Did I mention it's hot? Whew.